welcome to this video. Today we are going to be working on Space Invaders Part 5 and Space Invaders in Python Part 5 where we will be using the pygame module. And today is the last part and we will be adding more enemies, adding sounds, and we will also be displaying some text. Now we want to know where we left off last time. So here is our code. Okay, so I don't know. Well, last time we added bullets, so let me just run that again. So here, whenever we hit the enemy, it respawned in a random position. Okay, so today we're going to be adding more enemies. And also, as you saw when I shot it, it spawned here and then it just fell down. So we're also going to be fixing that as well. And we'll be adding sounds, and we'll also be adding game over and score text. So first I want to actually show you the sounds. So if I just go to home, but Python projects. Okay, so here I am, and this is background. So we'll be having background music, and it's quite a nice, cool background music. And also we've got an invader killed one. So it's kind of like a whistle. So it's actually really short. After that we've got shoot. So it's quite a nice noise as well. So we'll be using those noises, and here is the font. It's quite a nice Space Invader-y font. So it's kind of like the font anyone would expect. It's really nice, and I thought it kind of went into a theme. So I'll be putting these the link in the description so you can download the fonts. So now let's actually get on to starting. So as you saw, if we run this, when we shot the enemy, sometimes it spawned here and then it fell all the way down. Now that is not what we wanted, was it? So what we can do is down here, so when we check the collision, when it spawns back again, we can actually change this to 785. And also when we go up to where our enemy is, we can also change this to 785 or whatever value. Well, you might need to tweak it. Depending on your enemy size, but this worked perfectly for me, and it didn't fall off the screen once I had set it to that value. So now we need to actually we want to actually make more enemies. So what we'll do in this enemy section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this, okay, and then don't worry, I'm not going to cut it anyway, so I'm just gonna paste up here. So why do you think I'm doing that? Well, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a for loop to iterate through a certain number of enemies. So we need to still keep this so we can add these variables to the enemies, but we're gonna be setting these to an empty list because there'll be a certain number of enemies, okay, and a certain number of variables that we need to add to our enemies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set each one to an empty list. So let me just copy this list so I can just paste it quickly. So it's a very quick way actually. Whoops, what happened there? So all we need to do is we need to paste like that. Okay, so I've done all of that, and now I'm going to indent this. Now don't worry, this won't be that bad. All we're gonna do is we're gonna put in a for loop, so that's why we indented it. But before we do that, I'm gonna create a variable called num of enemies. Now this is how many enemies we want. So I'm gonna put in 6 because if we shoot them anyway, they are going to they are going to respawn. So don't put too many, otherwise the game will get too hard and no one will want to play it. So as I told you, we're gonna put in a for loop. So I'm gonna say for I in range. I'm gonna put in num of enemies. So basically that's going to be 6. So it'll add these variables to 6 of those enemies. And now down here we want to add this where is it again? We want to add this enemy movement and the border check and the collision to our enemy. And also we want to add the displaying bit over here as well. So how are we going to do this? So basically, since I've got them all together, all I can do is I'm going to add in a for loop. So I'm going to say for I in range, I'm going to put in num of enemies again because I want to add all of these conditions to a number of my enemies. So what you need to do is you want to add in, so let me tab that. So what you want to do is you want to add in moving the enemy and border check as well. You also want to do the collision check, and also you want to put in displaying as well. So now what we want to do is over here we want to put in square brackets and I. Now, why are we doing this? Now, the reason we're doing this is so we can make this so we know that this over here, so this enemy X and all the other variables are referring to that group of enemies. So if we do that after enemy exchange, enemy xi, and also over here, so off everywhere, it's very quick if you just copy and paste it everywhere, rather than manually writing it. So I'm just gonna finish this out very quickly, just got one more to do. And yeah, so we've done that. And also we want to do it in collision. Now make sure your indentation's properly because some people tend to indent it all the way over here instead of in line with this if and elif, and it doesn't work. So also in collision, what you want to do is after enemy X, you want to put in that I as well. And also what we want to do is we're going to put in I in front of enemy X and enemy Y over here. So now what we need to do is in this enemy over here, we are going to add in I, and we are going to put in this I bracket, so I in brackets after enemy IMG. And now what we need to do is down here. Sorry if my computer's a bit laggy. Down here, in our enemy for loop, we want to put in I over here. So let's actually test this out. So let's test it out. Okay. So here, as you can see, it's saying my integer object is not subscriptable. Okay, so why do we think that is? Now, what I've done is I have scrolled up here and we have forgot to add I over here. So we want to put in our bracket I. Let's check if we need to add in anything else. So no, this is perfect. So now let's run it and see if that error comes up again. Sorry, okay, so it's still saying the object is not subscriptable. So let's actually check what is wrong. So first, as you can see, we have put in moving the enemies. We've checked the border. So we've done all of that nicely. And we have also displayed it properly. So I'll just pause the video and see what has happened. Okay, so I'm back, and I don't know what happened, but my thing just glitched a bit. So if I just run this, as you can see, I've just got some enemies, and all the collisions are working pretty nicely. They're working pretty good, and yeah, they're working. So obviously, as I told you, we want to add a bit more atmosphere um into our what is it called again, our game, and we want to make it a bit nice and funky. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we want to do is we first want to import a module, and this module is called mixer. So import mixer. And what does this do? So what mixer does is it plays sounds for you. So it's really useful if you want music. So I don't know why. Okay, so it's just saying there's no module name mixer. So don't worry. That's just that sometimes that just happen. That's because we need to import it from pygame. So I need to say right in front. I need to say from pygame. Whoops, not ygame. Sorry, from pygame import mixer. Okay, so yeah, so that's gone away. So now let's actually add our sounds. So first, what we want to do is we want to add the background music. So as I told you, my background music is a nice funky music, so it sounds like this. Very nice and cool. So that's why I chose it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to PyCharm, and we want to add it with the background. So here, after setting the background, I'm going to put in background sound, and setting the sound is not that hard. What all you need to do is we need to say mixer dot music dot load. So the reason we're putting in music is because what we want to do is so it keeps on playing continuously, so not only once. So we need to put in the file. So I'm going to put in background dot wave, and also I want to ask it to play. So how am I going to say that? I'm going to say mixer dot music dot play, and we want to put in -1. So let me just put in the X over here. X. So if we put in -1, it's basically going to play continuously. So if I run this, you can see that it's playing. You can hear some music. It's playing very nicely, colliding, and all of that stuff. Okay. So let's stop that. So that's a bit loud. So now, where else do we want to add the sound? We want to add the sound where when we have shot a bullet. So where are we going to do that? We are going to do that when we press a key. So what we want to do in our key press area, we are going to say, so after here where if bullet state is equal to ready, I'm going to say bullet bullet sound is equal to mixer dot sound. So basically this is only going to play the sound once. It's not going to be like music. And mine is called shoot dot wave. So if you want to listen to that again, I'll play it. Okay, so it's a very nice, cool shoot sound. So back to here, shoot dot wave. So we put that in, and now we want to actually play it. So I'm gonna say bullet sound dot play. Okay. And now if we run this, so whoops, so here's my pygame. So we've got a nice noise. Okay. So the noise is working. Now we want to put in a kill sound when the invader is killed. So where are we going to do that? In our if collision section, we are going to say right after if collision, I'm going to say invader killed sound. So you don't need to put a variable that long. I'm just putting it so you guys understand. So I'm going to say my invader killed sound is equal to mixer dot sound, and then I'm going to put in invader killed dot wave. So again, I can say invader killed sound dot play. Now if we run this, so shift F10. So as you saw, it's remember that whistle sound, okay? So that is working. And now after we have set the sound, what do we want to do next? So think about that. And if you get sound, well, great, because we actually want the sound. So what I'm going to do is over here, not sound, so you want to do text. Sorry if I confused you there. So here you can see it says score. So instead of score, I'm going to set this to score value. And I'm just going to scroll down. And here there's a red line, so we're just going to change that to score value. And we are not going to print out the score. So sorry I took that away before you could see, but we don't need to print out the score. And also what we can do is, whoops, where's our score? So in our score section, what we are going to do is we are going to, we want to actually put in the font and everything of our score. So you can do this wherever you like, but I'm going to do this right here. So here I'm going to say my score value is equal to 0, and I'm going to put in the font. So obviously everyone knows what a font is, otherwise it's just the kind of style of your text. So I'm going to say pygame dot font. So notice the capitalization here. Remember, Python is case sensitive, and I'm going to put in Space Invaders.ttf because it's this nice Space Invaders font. And also I'm going to put in the coordinates of my font. So I'm going to say text x is equal to 10 and text y is equal to 10. Now I'm going to create a function that shows the score. So here, along with my functions, I am going to say def show score. I'm going to put in x and y because obviously you want an x and y coordinate, so where we're going to display it. And displaying the score is a bit different. We don't blit it. We need to render the font. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to say score is equal to font dot render. What do I want to render onto the screen? So first we want to render the text. So I'm going to say score, put a colon and space. And then what score do we want to put down? So before we actually put in the score, we want to convert it into a string value. Otherwise it won't print out. So I'm going to say score value. And then also I want to say true, so it will display in the screen. And you want to set the color, and that's going to be white. So I'm going to say 255, 255, 255. Okay, so that's going to be white. So let's run this. And as you can see, it says font. This font function takes 2 arguments. Now, it says that because we need to actually add in the size of our font. Otherwise, what's the point? So I'm going to put size 40. And now let's run this. So as you can see, the text is not displaying. That is because we actually need to blit it. So don't be confused. Basically, first we need to render the font onto the screen, and then we blit it onto the screen. So I'm going to say screen.blit. I want to blit in my score. And also I'm going to say x, y. And now we need to call our function, and we want it to stay there like for the whole loop. So what we're gonna do is all the way at the bottom. So let's I'm going to do it on right before our enemy for loop. I'm going to say displaying the text. And all you want to do here is I'm going to call the show score function. I'm going to put in text x and text y. Now, if I put in text x and text y, basically it's going to display the font near the top left of the screen. So I'm going to run this. And as you can see, our font came up here. Now, maybe that music is annoying, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the volume a bit down so it doesn't annoy us so much. Now let's run it and see. Okay, so that's still a bit loud, sorry. So basically, as you can see here, our score is 0, and it's pretty nice. And now we want to do game over text. Now, when are we actually going to display game over? Well, we are going to do this when our enemies have collided with the player. Okay? Because if it goes to the bottom of the screen and collides with the player, well, that's not really what we want, is it? So we want it to be game over then. So where are we going to do this? So I'm going to do this in I'm actually going to do this in enemy movement. So where is this? Oh, it's right here. So in our enemy for loop, sorry, I'm going to I'm going to put in game over. And also, we want to put a text for game over. So what we're going to do is we're just going to scroll up. So where is it? Underscore, I'm going to put in game over. And how are we going to do this? Well, obviously, we want to, when we do game over, it needs to be a bit bigger than the score. So how are we going to do this? So underscore, obviously, I'm going to say game over font is equal to pygame dot font, and then I'm gonna put in space invaders TTF because that's the font, and then you want to put in the size. I recommend 64. You can put bigger if you like, but I'm putting in 64 because it will look pretty good for game over. And now we want to create a method for that. Not a method, sorry, a function for that. So under show score, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my function. So I'm going to say def game over. I'm gonna say whoops, so we don't need to put in anything there. I'm gonna say game over. Actually, let's not put that. Let's put in over text so we don't get confused. Over text is equal to game over font. And we're going to render that font onto a screen. So render. What do you want to render on? I want to put in game. I'm going to put in game. Whoops, no underscores. Game. Whoa. Oh my goodness, my computer's so laggy today. Game over. And I'm going to put in all caps. Just because I want to. We want to put in true, so we actually render onto the screen. And I'm going to put in white, so 255, 255, 255. Okay. And now I want to blit it onto the screen, so I'm going to say screen dot blit. I want to blit in my game over game. I want to blit in my over text. So not our font, we want to blit in over text. And where do we want to blit this? So comma, where do we want to blit this? 200 and 250. So that's basically in the middle of the screen. So now let's scroll down to game over here. And now what do you want to do when it's game over? So I'm gonna say if enemy y, and then obviously you want to put in I in brackets. If it is larger than 440, because that works pretty well for me. And enemy x, you want to put in I is actually, let's not put that in. So if enemy y, I, so obviously you need to put an I in brackets. So the reason we're doing enemy Y is because remember it can't go that low down the screen. So if it does go that low, then we want it to be game over. So if it is game over, we want to send the enemies out of the screen so we don't see them, and then display the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say for J in range num of enemies. So for every enemy, so for all our enemies on the screen, I'm gonna say enemy y, enemy y, and then we're gonna put in brackets j is equal to 2000. So it's gonna send our enemies way down to the bottom of the screen. Okay, so we won't be able to see the enemy. And also we want to display game over text. So game over, actually, game over. And then we want to break. So let's try it. So here we are. So I'm just gonna casually shoot. So let's wait for all the enemies to come back down. So I'll come back when they have actually gone down. Okay, so they're really close to the bottom now. So I'm just gonna wait until they actually come down. So it's really close now. Okay, so it says game over, but everything has frozen, so it gets split onto the screen. So I'm just gonna close that. And as you saw, we have so if I just run it again, we have created some sorry, let me just run that again properly. So if I close this and run it again, so remember to do that. So as you can see, we've made shooting and enemy kill noises. So everything is working. And also it displays our score up here, and it also displays game over when the enemies have come down. So if you'd like to change any images or sounds, please feel free to do that because I don't really mind. And remember, I'll be pinning the source code in the description. Hope you have had fun making this Space Invaders project. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the like button. If you have any suggestions, please suggest them in the comments. And if you have any doubts, please say them in the comments as well. And I'll be putting the sounds and everything and the font in GitHub, and I'll put the link to that. So I guess that's the end of this video. Bye!